Hi there and welcome back to Love Sober Life Hacks, and we wanted to have a little kind of look at socialising sober today, because I think there's quite a lot of anxiety coming around at the kind of end of lockdown and what will that look like, and also it's probably the biggest thing we get asked really about going sober. It's the biggest fear, like how do I do this and not drink. So we've got some sort of tips for you. I guess the first one to always ask yourself is, do I really want to go? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is I'm not sure and it's too much right now, then just don't go. You have a migraine, just don't
You
go.
might have diarrhea. And then no one's going to ask you, right?
That's another excuse that you can use. I'm like blushing now. Yeah, so there is a huge amount of power of answering your needs, and just, you know, when you finally say no, and that thing of like, oh, you don't have to go, and getting in your pajamas, and, you know, that JOMO, the joy of missing out, where you're like, I didn't go and I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to ruin my sobriety, and getting in your PJs and just like having a nice treat. And so, you know, there's lots of kind of good information for your brain there that's like, okay, yeah, like I am in the driving seat of my own life. So yeah, that would be sort of tip number one. Kate?
Yeah, I love that as well. And the only other thing I'd say to that is that sometimes people can give us a hard time, like our partners and stuff, or friends can give you a bit of a hard time about that. Oh, go on, well, you said you would, rah, 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 rah. And actually the other part of that that's really powerful is that they get over it, and then you realise that if you sit with it, and that boundary you've just put in there, you know, like a bit later on, they're absolutely fine anyway. So it's just like, whoo, sit with that and it will pass as well. So if you go, planning is key. Again, it's about being in the driver's seat, as Mandy said. Quite literally, you can drive, be in the driver's seat. Plan 3 drinks. I think this was Bex Weller from Sexy Sobriety. That was her tip originally, which was because if they don't have your first choice, then you've got another 2 basically, or bring your own, so you're not, you know, something fabulous that you really want. Observe your window, and by that I mean that bit where you're just like, okay, I'm literally starting to just maybe get a bit twitchy, a bit anxious. Take yourself away to the loo, have a bit of a breathe, send up a flare to a sober community, or just leave. You know, it's that we all have our kind of social window, and I don't know anyone apart from my husband maybe whose social window is actually the end of the party. Mine certainly isn't. Mine's about 2 hours. So there's that one, and also have your escape hatch planned. So, you know, if you drive, that's amazing. Just make sure that you're in control of that. And then the last one, we were thinking about you know, the anxiety maybe that's happening about coming out of these times of lockdown and reintroducing ourselves and reintegrating into that social space again. And we were thinking it's quite a nice opportunity to just ask better questions about actually what do I want and how do I want it to be. And I know certainly for me, Mandy asked me this question because it was my birthday last week, and I just said, I need to see this particular group of people, but I need to be on high ground. And so we went for a walk. We just went for a hike up the downs, and just looked over all this panoramic view, and it was perfect. It's like, you know, we can sort of ask those questions at the moment, like maybe I don't want to sit face to face in a cafe. Well, we can't do that in the UK now, but we know, Mandy, you can do it in France, can't you? But, you know, it's quite a good little lesson to learn anyway about we're allowed to ask those questions about what we might actually want to do. So, yeah, those are our sober life hacks today. And Mandy said that I mustn't mention it, but it is her birthday. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And what do you want to do today, Mandy?
Eat cake, drink tea.
Yay.
Stroke my cat. And sometimes my children, of course.
Baby's allowed to do that. So yeah, happy birthday.
Thanks.
To you, love. And we'll see you next week for more life hacks. Bye.